Hey everybody, welcome to episode number 23 of Cameron's Nostalgia Podcast. I'm your host, Cameron Strickland, and today I have with me Raymond Carr. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Now, for any of the guys who don't know, Raymond is a puppeteer and director for many TV shows and films.
Yes, that's true.
Okay, he worked on shows such as LazyTown, Splash and Bubbles, um, Moon and Me, Wondermore Kids, Earth to Ned, the reboot of Crank Yankers, Walking with Dinosaurs, The Arena Spectacular, and Eric.
Yep.
And he's here right now. Uh,
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
nice. So, how did you get interested in puppetry?
I got interested in puppetry when I was younger, working with my family. I was a part of a church in Southern California, and my parents would do children's ministry at the church. And my brother and I would do puppets for the kids as well. And we started traveling around the country with my family, doing puppets for schools and churches and parks and things like that. And then when I was a teenager, we moved to Atlanta, Georgia, where I live now. And I started working with the Center for Puppetry Arts, which is a large puppetry theater and museum. And that's where I started also directing some short puppet pieces and things of that nature. And that's kind of what first got me into puppetry.
Nice. Your first puppetry gig was Lazy Town.
Yeah, that was my first TV puppetry gig. I'd been doing theater quite a bit before that, but yeah, that was the first time I was on a professional set. Started off as an apprentice, which is basically just below uh, an assistant, and just assisted the main characters throughout. And on a couple of episodes, I was actually able to operate the character Pixel in the background for a couple of shots too. So it was a pretty extraordinary experience.
I never noticed, but you had a pink puppet.
Yeah, it's in my workshop in the that's in another house. But yeah, I do have a pink puppet.
Could you just show it to me?
It's far. I'd have to drive to get it. I don't have it with me now.
Uh, what was his name?
I didn't really have a name for him. I've used him just for practicing. But it was built by David Panabecker.
Yes. Did you ever met Dave Prevet?
Yes, I've met David Prevet quite a few times when I was younger, working with One Way Street Incorporated. Did a lot of work with them over the years. And yeah, Dave was a friend of mine.
You got to meet Milo.
Yeah, I did get to meet Milo. I haven't thought about him in a long time, but yeah, that was a long time ago. But I've met his character, one of his characters, Milo.
How is it going to do that?
I was working with One Way Street Incorporated because they provided a lot of puppets and scripts for church puppet programs. And I did an internship there where I got to perform with them. And they had a conference a long time ago called iFest. And I was performing on what they call the Dream Team, which is a group of puppeteers, young puppeteers who are teenagers getting able to put on a show. And I was able to teach some workshops for them as well. And Dave was just in that scene, and yeah, he was a good guy. I don't really keep in touch with him much these days, but he's a nice guy.
So, are you a Christian?
I'm no longer a Christian. I'm kind of what they call agnostic or atheist, but no, I'm not no longer a Christian.
Okay. So, what was it like working on Lazy Town?
LazyTown was a lot of fun. We the puppets were very big and heavy and difficult to work, but everybody there for the most part was super nice and friendly to me. It was the first time, like I said, that I was on a professional set, so people were very gracious with their time and trying to teach me how to do things. Um, I spent a year on that program, so it was a lot, a lot of work, a lot of long hours, but for the most part, it was a really pleasant experience.
Okay. You have worked on a TV movie called Stiff.
Yeah, that was a small project. I think it was for Adult Swim, Cartoon Network. It was a pilot, and that was like almost 30 years ago. I just did some little monster stuff on it, but I don't really didn't do that much on it. It's basically worked on it for just a day or two.
You are the director for Shamus the Myth.
Yeah, that was a short film that I made with some friends of mine, again, over 20 years ago, and that was a fun little monster movie. But yeah, I don't know if I would even show that to anybody because it was such a long time ago, and I've gotten a lot better since then.
You have worked on Tibbets's Trust.
That was a 48-hour film festival where one of the few acting roles that I did. I think I played a piano player, and I was only in it for like a second. But yeah, it was a fun little project with a bunch of my friends.
You got to work as a property master for 50 Flash/50.
Yeah, that was a sci-fi film that a producer friend of mine made. That was like a little independent short film years ago. And I just provided props for them and stuff like that.
You are the production assistant for The Adventure.
Oh boy, I don't even remember that one. It must have been a long, long time ago. But I guess I must have been.
You got to work on two short films in 2009, Sweet Dreams.
That actually is not accurate. That's something on my IMDb that is not true. I don't know. I've been trying to get that off of my IMDb. But yeah, that's a weird project, and I don't know why they keep adding me to that project, but I did not work on that actually.
What about Beast of Burden?
Yes, that was a another short film that a friend of mine made. Sam Carter, who's a puppeteer, and it was another fun little monster movie.
And you got to work on another short film, Shadow Puppets.
Yes, that was another film by Sam Carter and his team. And that one was another like a monster movie.
What about Wild is the Wind?
Yes, that was one of my favorite short films that I directed. Also has a monster, and it takes place in this little. It's a one room set that's like a basement. It's about a woman who keeps this monster trapped in the basement and has basically the monster is her only friend, and she goes down to the basement to try and have conversations with him and talk about the meaning of life and stuff.
You got to work on Sid Roth's It's Supernatural.
Yeah, that was oh boy, I guess that was a recreation show where they talk about like it was like they went over like supernatural events in people's lives and we would try and recreate them in the film. So I did let's see, I guess I did set work on that, um production design and set design work on it.
And you got to be a puppeteer for the Wonder Boy.
Yes, that was another project that my friend Sam Carter directed and Bo Brown. And it was about a little wind-up toy, a large toy that an old man found and wound it up, and it came alive. And the old man, it became the old man's best friend, basically. So it was kind of like a Pinocchio style story that was really heartfelt.
And you got to work on Old Man Cabbage.
Yes, that was a music video for a band, a local band in Atlanta called Blair Crimmins and the Hookers. It's like a they that was a lot of fun. We had over 100 extras on that project. It the film is like over 11 minutes long. It's kind of like a short film musical. And we shot that all over Atlanta. It was a lot of fun.
And you got to work on VHS Amateur Night.
Yes, that was a horror movie that was for this anthology series called VHS. So what we call found footage, where it makes it look like it's almost like a documentary, but it's like a parody. And that was directed by one of my best friends, David Bruckner. And that was really successful, went to Sundance and launched some really awesome careers. So one of my favorite projects I've worked on.
You got to work on Night in Me.
When was that? Um, oh, that one, I don't know what that is and why that's on my IMDb. That's not actually true. It's kind of a weird fa error on IMDb.
Oh, sorry about that.
It's okay. It's a website. Sometimes they're not always accurate.
You got to work on Fun World.
Yes, that was a pilot created by one of my dear friends, Drew Sawyer, and his production company. And yeah, they were trying to make it into a TV show, but it didn't go anywhere. So, but it was a lot of fun work on.
What about Magic the Gathering, the musical?
Yeah, that was a great one. That's directed by one of my best friends, Molly Coffey, who's an awesome filmmaker and production designer in Atlanta. And it was inspired by the card game Magic the Gathering. And it's exactly what it says. It's a musical, all done with puppets. And that did a lot of had a lot of success in the film festival arena. And it was a lot of fun to work on too.
You got to be the art director for Hard Day's Play.
Um, that one I don't think is accurate either. I think that might be a mistake on IMDb.
Oh, okay, sorry about that.
It's okay. It's not your fault.
You should work on as a segment director for stuff you should know.
Yes, Stuff You Should Know is a really great it was a series that was based on the podcast Stuff You Should Know, which is, a popular podcast. And so I was the production designer and I also got to direct some segments on it, which was really cool. So yeah, very fond memories of that project.
And you got to be the art director for congratulations.
Yes, Congratulations was a feature film by yeah, by the name of Michael Bruni, who's also a good friend of mine. And yeah, that was a project that a lot of people came together to make, and we covered an entire house with wanted photos. It was supposed to be kind of like this surrealist mystery, trying to find out where this kid was had gone. And so we basically covered an entire two-story house with yellow wanted photos. Um, and that was pretty wild.
And you got to be Monkhound in Ed is a Portal.
Yes, that was another project that my friend Sam Carter directed, um, about little monsters that were basically coming out of somebody's brain, and named Ed. And Ed was a portal to this monster world and he kept pumping out monsters. And it was a really weird and bizarre short film. But yeah, a lot of fun.
You got to work on Bolt as a director.
I did some Vault. I did some art department stuff on Vault. I didn't direct that one, but it was I think that was the one that was directed by my friend Dan Bush.
And what about History?
Hittori. Yes, that is a short film that I directed and produced with the help of Heather Henson, Jim Henson's daughter. Um, and she financed the film, which was really great, and we were very grateful for that. And that one also did was successful in the film festival world. So it was kind of more of a avant-garde black and white film with puppets. So yeah, that was a lot of fun.
And what about working on Pepper's Place?
Yeah, that was a pilot for a show that was created by Molly Coffey, my friend again. And they were trying to create a kind of a parody of a children's television show. Um, and yeah, it had a bunch of puppeteers and people acting really silly. But that was a lot of fun.
And you got to be the art director for the Carbonaro Effect.
Yes, that's a show starring Michael Carbonaro, who's a very famous magician. And it was kind of like I guess you would say, what do you call it? Like a prank show where they would try and prank people using magic, which is pretty cool. So yeah, that was a fun one.
You got to work on Hamlet and Hatch.
Yeah, that was another project that some friends of mine, the Young brothers, directed.
Reconstruction of William Zero.
Yeah, that was a project that my friend Dan Bush directed, and I was able to work on that um, in the art department. And we had to we worked in it that made that in Atlanta, and It was very cold because it was a dead of winter, so we had to a lot of outside winter scenes.
And you got to work on a sequel called VHS Viral.
Yeah, I that was a sequel to the VHS series, and I just did some art department. I did far less work on that one than I did on the original VHS series, but it was still pretty cool.
It's called Dent the Great.
Hmm. Uh, I don't know what that one is. I think that might be not accurate. Might not be r real. Yeah, sorry. That's probably a mistake on the IMDb.
You got to work on Edgar Allan Poe's Mystery Theater.
Yes, that was another pilot that a friend of ours, Jose Acosta, created. And it was supposed to be the semi-autobiographical life of Edgar Allan Poe and his weekly adventures and the stories of him, um, all that he did and how he wrote some of his most memorable works of fiction. So, yeah, that was a really cool project.
And you appeared on the Atlanta Film Chat podcast.
Yeah, I did. It's kind of like this podcast. I've um, just interviewing about some of the work I've done.
And you worked on Dark Alley.
Yes, I did. Don't remember too much about that one, but I think I have done that one.
And you worked on Pets.
Yes, that is another one of my short films that I directed. And it's about a woman who has a furry pet that's kind of like a looks like a little um I don't know, dog mixed with a bear. And she kind of has this crisis of trying to figure out what she's doing with her life, and this pet kind of helps her figure out what she wants to do when she gets older.
You got to be Reggie Bow in Vedette.
Yes, that was another pilot. I think it was for TV, TNT. Um, that was I basically was this guy who was a little puppet monster that would come up and um, be the alter ego of this stoner dude. Whenever he had a bad idea, Reggie Bo would come up and encourage him to do the worst thing. But that was a lot of fun.
And you got to be Dunk and Mayor Sting in Splashing Bubbles.
Yes, that is one of my all-time favorite projects, working with the Jim Henson. It was my first project working with the Jim Henson Company, first TV project anyway, working with them. And it was a huge honor to be able to play those roles. Worked with John Tartaglia and Leslie Carrera Rudolph and Amy Garcia, and a lot of other really amazing puppeteers on that project.
Could you do the voice of Dunk?
I did do the voice of Dunk. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, hey, thanks. This is Dunk. Thanks for letting me be on your podcast. Hope everybody's having a good time.
What about Mayor Sting?
Let's see. Mayor Sting, he sounds deeper, so he was more like, "Hey, everybody, this is Mayor Sting. Welcome to Fishtown. Have a great day."
Cooler voices.
Oh, thank you.
Let's see. What else do I have here? You got to work on Go to Sleep.
Yeah, that was a project that I directed with my wife. She and I co-wrote it together, and we shot it in our house, which is really cool. So it's a very special project for me and myself. And it won some awards at the Atlanta Film Festival.
I noticed you have a dog in the background.
Yeah, I do.
What was the dog's name?
The dog's name is Nina.
Nina.
Yeah.
And how about their house?
Beer House, yes. That was a another anthology series. It was basically about horror movies and stuff like that. So we would they would be short films that were horror movies, and I would directed some segments that would introduce those short films. Um, and it was, yeah, we shot that in Atlanta, and that was a really cool project too.
You got to work on cracks.
Yes, that was a film that my friend Molly Coffey also directed. And it was all shot on film, which is hard to do sometimes. But yeah, it was a really special project that I'm very proud of.
And you got to work on Archer After Hours.
Yes, that was a project that is for the animated series Archer, that was on FX for like 11 years. And it was what we did was it was kind of the they would air episodes and then we'd have cast members come on to this web series and play some games and talk about the episode. And that was a really fun experience.
You got to work on the BBC series Moon and Me.
Yeah, that's a really fun project. That was actually, even though it was BBC, it was shot in Atlanta, Georgia. Um, and it was all miniatures. It's from the creators of Teletubbies. So very young kids. It was for very young kids.
Well, I watched the Teletubbies when I was little in my old house.
Okay. Yeah. It was from the same guy who made Teletubbies.
Andrew Davenport.
Yep, that's right.
And you got to be the puppeteer for Crank Yankers.
Yeah, that was also one of my dream jobs. Got to work with Victor Yared and Paul McGinnis on that project. Shot that in LA. Yeah, that was a really amazing experience. They're very, very proud of.
Let's see. You got to work on Wondermore.
Yeah, that was a series that's was we shot in Atlanta as well. And I got to play a character named Whirly. And then I also got to direct some of the episodes, which was pretty fun.
You got to work on Joyriders.
Yeah, that's my favorite short film that I've done, that I've directed anyway. And it's we got to build a alien spaceship that was really cool. So yeah, I love that series, Joyriders. That was a lot of fun.
You got to work on Ask a Pro Anything.
Yeah, that was a web series, excuse me, that we did during the pandemic. Um, and it was just like it sounds like we brought in different celebrity directors and got to ask them some questions about filmmaking. Because it was the pandemic, we had greater access to people who we probably wouldn't have been able to talk to. So yeah, pretty proud of that project.
You got to be Whirly.
Yeah, yeah, that, like I said, that was on Wondermore. So he was a very furry and silly character, but I liked him.
And Tom.
I, was I Tom on that too? Uh, don't remember if I was on that, but maybe I was. I don't know, it's been a long time.
You still have Whirly?
I don't. The studio owns that puppet, so I don't have that puppet.
You got to be the additional puppeteer for Earth to Ned.
Yes, that's right. That was another really great project that I did with the Jim Henson Company. And I operated some of the what they call the clogs, which were these furry aliens. And I got to operate one of Ned's arms.
You have worked on trees.
Uh, oh yeah, that was a short film that was in LA that was pretty unique. It was another monster movie. It was a lot of fun. But that was just a very short project.
You have worked on handmade puppet dreams, filmmaker spotlights.
Yeah, that was just a part of Hitori. They did some interviews with us. So I was basically just talking about working with Heather Henson on that. So that was just mostly just interview stuff.
And you got to work on Aqua Teen Forever.
Um, oh, I don't remember that one. I think that might be a mistake too.
That's okay.
Okay.
You have worked on Tiara Whack.
Yeah, that was a live event for Adult Swim Cartoon Network where I got to play a little potato puppet and introduce Tara Wack for her performance.
You have worked on the puppet version of Smiling Friends.
Yeah, that was pretty special. That was just last year, this year rather. We made a bunch of puppets to recreate some episodes of the the Adult Swim project Smiling Friends. So that was it was a lot of work. We built about 100 puppets on that one, and it was yeah, it was very difficult, but it came out really well, and people seemed to be really happy with it.
And you got to be Frank on Eric.
Uh yeah, that's true. I Eric was a show that starred Benedict Cumberbatch where he played a puppeteer, and I was the one who trained him to be a puppeteer as well as the other actors. And Yeah, it was a really great experience.
And you worked on the upcoming film, Thomas Taser's World of Hurt.
Yeah, I don't know if that's actually going to happen. That's been in development for a couple of years now, and I think it might not actually happen anymore.
Okay. And could you do the voice of Whirly from Wondermore?
Yeah, he kind of sounded like this. Hey, everybody, this is Worley. Thanks for coming out and listening to this podcast. Hope everybody has a good day.
And you toured with Walking with Dinosaurs, the Arena Spectacular.
Yep, it sure did. I spent 2 years on that tour, working on it. It was pretty wild. One of the longest jobs experiences I've ever had.
Hey, Nina.
Yep.
Um, I see you, Nina.
All right. Well, thank you so much for having me. I got to get going, but good luck with the podcast, and I'm excited that you guys were able to do this. So, I guess I will try and talk to you later at some point.
Before we go,
Huh?
there was this pink puppet made by David Pennebecker.
Yeah, no, he's in the other he's at my workshop that's not at my house, so I can't get him now. I'd have to drive a while to pick him up. So but yeah, he's a good puppet. I like him a lot.
Okay, so what day do we video chat again with the pink puppet?
Oh, I don't know if I can do that. I'm pretty busy right now, but uh I'm happy that we got to do this chat. I could send you a picture of the pink puppet. I'll do that.
All right.
All right. Great. Well, it was good chatting with you, and I will talk to you later. Bye.
Stay tuned, there will be more guests coming up. Until next time, peace.
Great.